Hello, I am David Stafford, and today I have an oral review for the concert For King and Country, Burn the Ships. The concert, in mine, is going to be reviewed based off three criteria. It's music, light, and just on-stage stuffs. So I want to quickly mention that this I consider to be an artistic production because music is a form of art, and how you display that music live is definitely a great way to express creativity. Therefore making it an artistic production. Now that that's out of the way, let's begin. So first things first, music. The music I thought was extremely good, but music is very subjective. What you think is good music, I might not think is good music. Having said that though, what I'm reviewing here is actually how well they played the music. And out of what I could tell, for the most part they did it perfectly. Every song they did was done perfectly, save for a couple of voice cracks here and there. Other than that, they played the music and they played it well. That one I didn't have too much to say on. It was good. 10 out of 10 would listen to again. So let's move on. Now the lighting, this is kind of a weird thing, but I decided to talk about the lighting because that was one of the biggest things of this concert was there was a lot of lights. A lot of flashing lights, a lot of different ways that they used the light. And beyond that, they had two large LCD screens, like big LCD screens that could cover half the stage, that they would move around and do stuff with. And they just kind of had a curve like this, move like this, do this. But they used that in a way that lit up the stage for some things and acted as like a vibe. It added a little bit more to it. But beyond that, they used lighting in a very creative way for the first 2 or 3 songs and the last 3 songs. The middle didn't really try too much to create a very creative atmosphere with it. It was just a lot of flashing to the beat of the music. Nothing too artistic there. But the beginning was very good. The first song used what I call the spotlight effect. It's where you have a spotlight focused on the singer, and as the next person starts singing, because there was a duo singing, it would brighten and dim depending on who was singing. But because they didn't use any spotlights for the song, they had 3 lights, one in the middle for the melody that they would turn on and off, and then the 2 brothers that were singing would stand on the LCD screen, that's why I mentioned it, and they had lanterns in their hands that they lit up and dimmed as they sang their part. And I thought it was very different. It wasn't something I was expecting, and I had a lot of fun watching it, and that was the first song. The second song used lights in a more crazy way, but it also started the theme of how they used lights for the most part for the rest of the show, using very cool colors like blue, purple, during calmer moments of the song, and using more energetic colors during later portions of the songs that were obviously more energetic. I thought this was actually a really cool use of lights. They weren't just used to light up the stage. Oh, you can see the guys, hey, whatever. It was a very, it felt like an art. It felt like someone took time to make that like it was. Now the last 3 songs used lighting in a way that was more sporadic. It had a lot more colors in it. It wasn't just one color with every light. Like they also had stream lights, like LED strips that sat on either side of the stage that would stream light every once in a while. And those usually were one color. But for the last 2 songs at least, they had an extremely vast amount of color in a way that wasn't too hardening for the eyes, and it looked really good, and it gave the song that they were singing a lot more energy to it, and it made it feel more alive. So now let's move on to the last thing I wanted to talk about in review. And that was just the stage doodads, as I'm calling it. And that would be what they actually did on stage, and stuff that they used to liven up the performance. Like I said, they had 2 LCD screens that they were moving around. They also had below each instrument another screen that both sides could see. And the way they used these screens in the middle part wasn't anything too special. Just some either static images, or they would have patterns flashing on and off the screen. It didn't hurt the eyes too much, and it often matched the beat of the song and worked with the song. It wasn't anything too special, but it was really fun to watch. with the last song, with the last song, they had a blue circle, and for every beat, they would have it, have waves coming off the screens, and I thought that, and it looked really cool because it has a nice deep blue, and it was a very calming part of the song, and it just almost felt like a heartbeat. And I think that was a very creative way to use these massive screens that they had. Another thing that they did is for one of their songs, it's called Joy. It opens with the music video opens up with a news producer trying to tell good news while his co-anchor is constantly telling these bad news stories. And he says, I give up. I want things to be joyful. And it goes through the whole song. And they started the song with that same audio, but started in one spot of this LED screen. They propped it all up, and then another news broadcast, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and it showed all these terrible things that life is equal to, and then it cuts out, and it goes into into splashes of color and light. Well, okay, it doesn't start in a splash of color. It starts with one shade of colors as the song starts, moving to the beat of the music. And as the song continues, it splashes into color. And the song is called Joy, and it says, and I just want to iterate how well I thought this last song was done. The song says, lately I've been watching the nightly news. Just can't find the rhythm, want to sing the blues. Feels like it never stops. The cycle never stops. And he says, I got to get this fire back in my bones. I got to get my heart beating and the thing going, and I want joy. And it's just beautiful. And I don't like reviewing, when I do reviews, or when I talk about things, I don't often like to say that the message of the song is what makes the song. There's a lot that goes into it. But with me already saying that the music was very good, the fact that they could take this song and add a lighting and that they could add an entire effect to it by using these giant monitors. They didn't just resort to what was on stage and what lights they had. They used these monitors to display the point a little bit better, and I think that was really cool and really creative with how they did it. I don't have any pictures to show because it was a live concert and I didn't want to be that guy, but it was very nice. The last thing I want to mention, and I forgot to mention this in my criteria at the beginning, is that the seating, how they arranged the stage and how they arranged all the seats. It was in a nice pattern. Everywhere pretty much had a spot where you could see everything on stage, see these screens and understand it. And so that isn't really something that the group performing could have fixed in any way. Our seats were mediocre. They were just, you could see it, it was fine, but you couldn't see everything right away. But it was okay for what it was, and it isn't something they could have fixed. I just wanted to mention that. That was one of the negative parts of this experience. For the most part, throughout the entire show, I had my eyes on stage, and I was very entertained. About the middle, I started getting a little bored with what was playing. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't too much craziness in the middle. It was just kind of they didn't really do anything creative with the lights. They didn't do anything on stage. But, yeah. And the absolute last thing I want to mention is the energy that the entire group had on stage. This is something I should have mentioned earlier, but this just came to mind, and I want to add it real quickly. So, on stage, as they're performing, they run around, and they dance, and they sing, and they're not doing anything specifically choreographed when they're dancing. They're just kind of dancing. But for a lot of the times, they had this triangular stage, and they would run for the top of the stage while one of the people playing an instrument would grab another instrument, be playing it, and the guy up front would have his instrument, and they literally took like a cello, chucked it back, the guy caught it, and they had that kind of stuff all night where they kept moving around and kept switching instruments, and they did it in a way that was had some sort of flair to it. And so it was very entertaining to watch. Like I said, not in the middle. The middle was it was the most boring part of the show. It wasn't bad. It was good. It was the point where I had to use the restroom, and nothing really spectacular was happening, but it was really fun to watch nevertheless. Would I recommend this to you? If you're someone who likes contemporary music, I would highly recommend that if this is in your area, to go watch it. It is a wonderful production. Everything about it I enjoyed. Despite me raffing on how the middle was so boring, it really wasn't. It was very entertaining throughout the whole show. It's just the part where I had to pee and I couldn't because I was busy watching it. It was that good. Well, that will be all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.